The mob was no more than 25 feet away when the machine guns opened up. But before that flaming sheet of death, nothing could live. The mob came on, but it could not advance. It piled up in a heap, a mound, a huge and growing wave of dead and dying. Those behind urged on, and the column from gutter to gutter telescoped upon itself. Wounded creatures, men and women, were vomited over the top of that awful wave and fell squirming down the face of it till they threshed about under the automobiles and against the legs of the soldiers. The latter bayoneted the struggling wretches, though one I saw who gained his feet and flew at a soldier's throat with his teeth. Together they went down, soldier and slave, into the welter. The firing ceased. The work was done. The mob had been stopped in its wild attempt to break through. Orders were being given to clear the wheels of the war machines. They could not advance over that wave of dead, and the idea was to run them down the cross street. The soldiers were dragging the bodies away from the wheels when it happened. We learned afterward how it happened. A block distant, 100 of our comrades had been holding a building. Across roofs and through buildings they made their way till they found themselves looking down upon the close-packed soldiers. Then it was a counter-massacre. Without warning, a shower of bombs fell from the top of the building. The automobiles were blown to fragments along with many soldiers. We, with the survivors, swept back in mad retreat. Half a block down, another building opened fire upon us. As the soldiers had carpeted the street with dead slaves, so in turn did they themselves become carpet. Garthwaite and I bore charmed lives. As we had done before, so again we sought shelter in an entrance. But he was not to be caught napping this time. As the roar of the bombs died away, he began peering out. "The mob's coming back," he called to me. "We've got to get out of this." We fled, hand in hand, down the bloody pavement, slipping and sliding and making for the corner. Down the cross street we could see a few soldiers still running. Nothing was happening to them. The way was clear. So we paused a moment and looked back. The mob came on slowly. It was busy arming itself with the rifles of the slain and killing the wounded. We saw the end of the young officer who had rescued us. He painfully lifted himself on his elbow and turned loose with his automatic pistol. "There goes my chance of promotion," Garthwaite laughed, as a woman bore down on the wounded man, brandishing a butcher's cleaver. "Come on. It's the wrong direction, but we'll get out somehow." And we fled eastward through the quiet streets, prepared at every cross street for anything to happen. To the south, a monster conflagration was filling the sky, and we knew that the great ghetto was burning. At last I sank down on the sidewalk. I was exhausted and could go no further. I was bruised and sore and aching in every limb, yet I could not escape smiling at Garthwaite, who was rolling a cigarette and saying, "I know I'm making a mess of rescuing you, but I can't get head nor tail of the situation. It's all a mess. Every time we try to break out, something happens and we're turned back. We're only a couple of blocks now from where I got you out of that entrance. Friend and foe are all mixed up. It's chaos. You can't tell who is in those darned buildings. Try to find out and you get a bomb on your head. Try to go peaceably on your way and you run into a mob and are killed by machine guns, or you run into the mercenaries and are killed by your own comrades from a roof. And on the top of it, all the mob comes along and kills you too." He shook his head dolefully, lighted his cigarette, and sat down beside me. "And I'm that hungry," he added. "I could eat cobblestones." The next moment, he was on his feet again and out in the street prying up a cobblestone. He came back with it and assaulted the window of a store behind us. "It's ground floor and no good," he explained as he helped me through the hole he had made. "But it's the best we can do. You get a nap, and I'll reconnoiter. I'll finish this rescue all right, but I want time. Time, lots of it, and something to eat." It was a harness store we found ourselves in, and he fixed me up a couch of horse blankets in the private office well to the rear. To add to my wretchedness, a splitting headache was coming on, and I was only too glad to close my eyes and try to sleep. "I'll be back," were his parting words. "I don't hope to get an auto, but I'll surely bring some grub anyway." Note: grub, food. And that was the last I saw of Garthwaite for 3 years. Instead of coming back, he was carried away to a hospital with a bullet through his lungs and another through the fleshy part of his neck. End of chapter 23. Recording by Matt Saw, Montreal, mattsaw.org.